In the heartland of America, there stood an old and dilapidated railway track known as the Desolation Line. The Desolation Line was once a bustling route for transporting goods and passengers across the vast expanse of the country. However, a series of tragic accidents and unexplainable disappearances had earned it a sinister reputation. People whispered of an eerie, ghostly train that roamed the tracks at night, its mournful whistle piercing through the darkness. Legend had it that this phantom locomotive was driven by a vengeful spirit, the ghost of a train conductor who had met a gruesome end in a horrific derailment years ago. His tormented soul was said to be forever trapped on the Desolation Line, seeking retribution for the lives lost in that fateful accident. One moonless night, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to explore the Desolation Line. Armed with flashlights and fueled by bravado, they ventured onto the overgrown tracks, determined to uncover the truth behind the ghostly tales. The air grew thick with tension as they trudged along the rusted rails, shadows playing tricks on their minds. As they made their way further into the darkness, the temperature dropped dramatically, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Suddenly, the distant sound of a train's whistle pierced the stillness, sending shivers down their spines. Heartbeats raced as they scanned the horizon, their flashlights trembling in their hands. And then, emerging from the mist, a faint light flickered ahead. The light grew stronger, revealing the spectral outline of a vintage steam locomotive. Its rusty metal carcass creaked and groaned with every passing second, its wheels grinding against the tracks as if protesting its own existence. The air grew frigid, and the group's breath turned to mist as the phantom train approached. The train's windows were shattered, and within, they caught glimpses of hollow-eyed passengers dressed in clothes from a bygone era. Their faces were frozen in expressions of fear and despair, their spectral forms swaying with the train's uneven rhythm. The conductor stood at the front of the locomotive, his face obscured by shadows, but his presence exuded malevolence. Desperation gripped the teenagers as they realized the phantom train was barreling toward them. They turned to flee, but the ground seemed to shift beneath their feet, locking them in place. The wind howled, carrying with it anguished cries of the doomed passengers. The teenagers screamed in terror, their voices drowned out by the wails of the spectral train. In a desperate bid for survival, one of the teenagers remembered an old folktale about breaking a curse by using the train's own lantern against it. With trembling hands, they snatched the lantern from the side of the tracks and held it aloft, its light banishing the darkness around them. The lantern's glow engulfed the phantom train, causing its ghostly occupants to wail in agony. The conductor's figure contorted and twisted, releasing a heart-rending scream that echoed through the night. The ground shook, and the teenagers were thrown to the side as the train burst into a blinding explosion of light. When the teenagers regained their senses, the Desolation Line lay eerily still. The phantom train had vanished, leaving behind nothing but the faint scent of burning coal and a chilling sense of emptiness. As the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, the teenagers knew they had escaped the clutches of the haunted tracks. Word of their harrowing encounter spread, and the legend of the phantom train took on new dimensions. The Desolation Line remained abandoned, a testament to the horrors that had transpired there. Some believed that the curse had been lifted, while others swore they still heard the mournful whistle of the ghostly locomotive on certain nights. And so the tale of the haunted American train passed from one generation to the next, a chilling reminder that some stories are born from darkness and live on in the shadows of the past. In the heartland of America, nestled amidst dense forests and rolling hills, lay the forgotten town of Echowood. A place once vibrant with life and activity, it had been overshadowed by the eerie reputation of its train station. Echowood's residents whispered tales of trains that roared through the night, despite the tracks having been abandoned decades ago. One stormy night, a daring journalist named Emily arrived in Echowood, determined to unravel the truth behind the unsettling stories. Armed with her notepad and recorder, she set up camp near the decaying train station, her eyes fixed on the rusted tracks that stretched into the darkness. As the clock struck midnight, Emily's heart quickened as a distant whistle pierced the air. The sound grew louder, echoing off the hills as a spectral train materialized from the mist. Its windows glowed an otherworldly blue, casting an ethereal light that seemed to expose the secrets of the universe. Trepidation mixed with curiosity, Emily hesitated before stepping onto the platform. The train's doors creaked open, inviting her with an eerie beckoning. Against her instincts, she entered the train and found herself in a grand, but decrepit cabin. The interior was unlike anything she'd seen before. Passengers, their faces obscured in shadows, sat silently in their seats, fixated on a destination only they knew. Emily realized she was not alone. Others had been drawn into this eerie journey. The train began to move, and as it picked up speed, the windows revealed a haunting panorama of twisted landscapes, endless tunnels, and ghostly apparitions. Faces pressed against the glass, distorted and contorted as if trapped between dimensions. Panic seized Emily, but the train showed no signs of stopping. Emily discovered an old man named Samuel who had been on this train for decades, a prisoner of its relentless path. He recounted tales of despair and horror, of endless loops and distorted time. "We're trapped," he whispered, his eyes hollow, "forever chasing something we can never attain." As days turned to weeks, Emily's reflection in the windows grew more distorted. The train's pull on her mind was inescapable, as if it was feeding off her fears and memories. The distinction between reality and nightmare blurred, driving her to the edge of sanity. With each passing mile, Emily delved deeper into the train's twisted history. Rumors of a malevolent engineer who had sold his soul for eternal power circulated among the passengers. Driven by a desperate need for answers, Emily embarked on a perilous journey through the train's labyrinthine corridors, determined to confront the entity responsible for this nightmare. In the heart of the train, she found a chamber shrouded in darkness. There she met the engineer, a grotesque figure with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce her very soul. His voice resonated with the screams of 1,000 tormented souls as he reveled in Emily's terror. Summoning every ounce of courage, Emily challenged the engineer, demanding to know the source of his power. The engineer's sinister laughter reverberated through the chamber, but Emily persisted, revealing the stories she had gathered from the passengers. As she spoke, the spectral faces of those trapped in the train appeared around her, their combined energy overwhelming the engineer. A blinding light consumed the chamber, and the train screeched to a halt. Emily awoke to find herself back at the decaying station, the sun rising over Echowood. Though free from the train's grasp, Emily's mind bore the scars of her harrowing journey. Echowood remained a town shrouded in mystery, and the stories of the phantom train continued to haunt its residents. Emily's article shed light on the horrors she had witnessed, but the true nature of the train remained an enigma. The legend of the American trains, a tale of unending journeys and souls forever lost, would continue to echo through time, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the most seemingly mundane places. Late one moonless night, the old American train rattled down the tracks, its wheels shrieking like tormented souls. The air was thick with an eerie silence that seemed to drown out even the distant howling wind. The few passengers on board sat huddled in their seats, their faces pale and eyes darting nervously. As the train trundled through the desolate countryside, it passed through a long pitch-black tunnel. The interior lights flickered, casting grotesque shadows on the walls. Suddenly, the train jerked to a stop, causing the passengers to jolt forward in their seats. Confused murmurs filled the air as the passengers exchanged uneasy glances. Then a blood-chilling whisper echoed through the train, "You're not alone." Panic spread like wildfire as they realized that the voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. The lights continued to flicker, revealing fleeting glimpses of figures in the windows, faces twisted in agony, eyes devoid of life. A haunting laughter filled the air, growing louder with every passing moment. The passengers clutched their ears, desperate to block out the spine-chilling sound. Suddenly, the train's windows turned pitch black, reflecting nothing but the passengers' horrified expressions. The laughter crescendoed to a deafening roar, driving some to the brink of insanity. Then, as abruptly as it had started, the latter ceased. The lights returned, revealing an empty train, devoid of passengers. The train started moving again, this time at an unnatural speed. The scenery outside became a blur as the train hurtled forward. The walls of the train car seemed to close in, the air growing thick with a suffocating dread. In the distance, a faint light appeared, casting an eerie glow on the tracks. The train raced towards it, its wheels screeching in protest. Just before reaching the light, the train vanished into thin air, leaving behind only an echoing wail that seemed to linger in the night. To this day, locals speak of the phantom train that appears on moonless nights, a train haunted by the souls of those who were lost to its malevolent grip. It serves as a chilling reminder of the terrors that can lurk in the heart of the American train system, a realm where reality and nightmare intertwine.